Cornwall. £1.5 billion is the college investment fund, which has been launched by the government, and Cornwall College in St Austell is set to receive a share of that. Let's now talk to John Evans, who is the Chief Executive and Principal at the college. Good afternoon, John.
Good afternoon, Julie.
Do you know how much of the 1.5 billion you're going to get at this stage?
No, we don't. What I do know is that it will be transformational. The DFE have been working with us now for 4 months to look at what is needed at the St Austell site where we currently deliver in John Key House. And at this stage, anything's possible. So certainly, I think it will be significant money and it will completely transform that site.
In physical terms, what would you like to see?
I think we've been very clear from the beginning, really. The John Key House, much as it has some history for the area, it was never fit for purpose for education. It was built for office blocks. So for me, and certainly the architect's impressions, which we have let out, I mean, we have put them out in the press, show a completely new campus. And then the removal of John Key House. And I guess I would be disappointed if we didn't end up at that point.
It's not been an easy ride, has it, for the college in recent years? You know, courses have been cut, staffing's been cut. The merger with Truro and Penwith didn't proceed. Where are you right now in terms of turning your fortunes around?
It's almost like you primed me for that question, or I primed you for that question, because I'd love to be asked that. So I arrived in October 2019, and you're right, the college has had some challenging times. I have to say at this point, I think most colleges in the country have had challenging times because of the budget cuts. But I think Cornwall has had its significant share of those challenges. 18 months on now, and this makes it sound like it's about me, but it's not. I'll explain later, it's about the staff. We've had the highest learner outcomes the college has ever had. The college is now financially stable. We work in partnership with Truro and Penwith, and I meet with Martin, who's the principal at Truro and Penwith, every 2 weeks, and we debate on which courses to run and what not to run, how we can work on things together. The staff have had a pay rise for the first time in 10 years. We gave everybody a brand new laptop, and the learner feedback was phenomenal last year. The only difficulty we had last year was when you're trying to change a culture, ethos and outturns, and then you lay COVID on top. So it added a degree of extra complication, but I'm very happy of where we are at this stage. And what you'll see now and what you've seen in the last probably 3 or 4 months is instead of negative stories, it's positive story after positive story, because what we're doing now is looking where to invest money. And this is a classic example. We've also put in for 13 million for the Camborne site, which I think we're going to get as well. It's all good stories now, instead of the negative stories that you have referred to.
What would you say about the direction of further education within Cornwall? We know that the government talks quite a bit about vocational training and actually the need to match training to the opportunities and the skills that are required in a locality. What's your vision for what you should be offering?
Well, one of the first things I did was introduce employer advisory groups. So what we've got now is an employer advisory group for every single pathway. The Cornwall College group is one of the biggest colleges in the country. I mean, we are lucky in Cornwall. We've got 2 huge colleges, whereas in many areas you have 3 or 4 small ones, but we have got 2 of them which are extremely large. We are 60 million a year, but what we've got to make sure is that you're right, we deliver to what employers need. So these employer advisory groups have been really essential in looking at our curriculum, making sure that the skills and knowledge that we develop meet their needs. And it's working. Without a doubt, it's working. But you've got to remember, we're so lucky. And I say we as in the Cornwall College group, because when I arrived, I thought, wow, we've got 10 campuses. And I'm thinking, do we need 10 campuses? But when you look at it, you've got boat building and marine engineering in Falmouth. You've got animal care and animal management at Newquay Zoo. You've got horticulture and horticulture degrees being delivered at Eden. and we've got 3 farms, 2 equine centres, and then you really start to look at the nature of what Cornwall is, and we do match it really, really well. We have a strapline called We Are the Career College, which I inherited. It was before I arrived. I think it says what we do.
Yeah. And in terms of timescale, what do you reckon, John? You know, we're talking about a share of a pot of money. How long does it take to get from that point to a new building opening its doors?
Well, luckily, I guess fortunately, we made the strategic decision about not long after I arrived that something had to happen at St Austell. The learners in St Austell need something that makes them go wow, and I fully believe that, and it's something that I've always tried to create wherever I am. So we started on this journey. So all the groundwork, and you can imagine, you know, the amount of work goes in behind the scenes in terms of demography of the land, the type of buildings, the knocking down, the design, the phase, all that has already been done, which is why there's artist impressions already out there in the press. So my gut feel is that we should be able to open something by about September 2024. It may go to later in that year or into the next year, but that's our target at the moment. And I'm really excited. Honestly, this will be transformational for St Austell. It will bring people in from far and wide, because that has a big impact on the socio-economic input of that particular area, and it needs it. Lots of exciting things going on at St Austell, and I think this will be one of the big ones. I am aware that of the 16 projects, I think the St Austell one will probably be the biggest.
Yeah. Well, John, thank you very much indeed. Can I just ask you a totally random question? I'm really interested in kind of how you plan forwards, because it's like, you know, we hear a lot, don't we, about the future of Cornwall will be things like lithium, it will be the spaceport and that sort of stuff. Are you already starting to think about how what you do could tally in with those kind of new sectors?
Julie, you have to. If you think something like a foundation degree or a degree, it takes 3 years to get approval to run it. You've got to be thinking way ahead of what is currently available. So if you take lithium, for example, one of the things that we engaged straight away was talking to lithium mining about the skills that are needed and what they will need. As you know, there are already some pilot drilling going on, and we are very close to that. For some, it's a sensitive topic, I guess, but I think for us in Cornwall, it's a gold mine. I think in terms of having an injection back into the economy. So yeah, in answer to your question, yes, we do. We have to, which is why you have to stay close to employers. But of course, you can't do everything. So it's about making, which is the reason why we have the conversations with Truro regularly, because a good example would be they're now focusing on nursing and we're now focusing on healthcare. Because we would end up stepping on each other's toes, and actually we just need to become specialists at our own areas. And you can imagine both of those fields are highly needed over the next 10 or 13 years within Cornwall.
Can you ever see yourself talking about a merger again, or do you think that's off the cards?
No, do you know what? I'm not precious. And I never have been. I think it's what's always best for the young people, and I was very clear about that when they interviewed me. But what I do feel is that people need a choice, and I think if you put, there isn't an area, a region that just has one college, and I think that competition, and Martin would agree with me on this, I know because we talk about it a lot, that competition is good. I also think we're different. I think you've got a huge A-level delivery at Truro and Penwith, which, let's face it, they do it brilliantly. And we are very much a career college, that vocational slant. Truro and Penwith obviously do vocational as well. So no, I don't think there's any need. We all those discussions are now gone, and the government have moved on, I think. And the fact that they're now stepping in and contacting us to say we want to invest in St Austell tells you that that's not on the cards any longer.
The only way is up. That sounds like good news. Thank you so much for your time, John. Really appreciate it.
Not a problem. Thanks, Julie.
Look after yourself. Bye-bye. We were hearing there from the Chief Executive and Principal of the Cornwall College Group, John Evans, talking about big plans for the future.